got through the whole podcast and I realized we didn't say anything about the Annapolis gunmen or the 5 brave journalists who lost their lives. I say brave. I have no idea who they were, but any journalist living today under the hateful rhetoric of a Trump who's saying that the media is the enemy of the public and all this kind of stuff, someone who incites violence against people who disagree with them. I mean, draw your own conclusions. I'm not here to preach at you, or actually I am. So enjoy the podcast, but yeah. Pour out some liquor for the folks who ain't there. Peace.
That podcast was supposed to be on. We have to go to his house.
Yeah.
Where does he live?
I don't know off the top of my head. If I did know off the top of my head, though, I would be very impressed. I would be very surprised at my ability to recall that off the top of my head. But the podcast that we're going to be on is called The Shiznit Show. The Shiznit Show, part of the Red Rock podcasting net. Oh man, this is going to be a very interesting podcast because Daddy has already had a couple of maker's marks. Oh goodness. Okay, let's talk about the news. Anyways, no. Hi. Let's just start from scratch. Hi, I'm Nyaze.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
This is Woke with Kids. Okay, all right. Thank you guys. So this is Woke with Kids, and this is a podcast. In case you guys don't know what podcasts are, in case you guys just stumbled out of a cave and somebody stuck some headphones on your head and said, "Listen to this." This is a thing that we do once a week-ish. We are a married couple out of Los Angeles, and we watch the news and read the news, and we are aware that we're living in a time of great uncertainty because of your president. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All of the white people that have made modern history possible. Thank you so much. So anyways, that's our podcast. We're sticking to it, and we're going to be on a podcast coming up very soon, next week, as a matter of fact. Another local podcast called the Shiznit Podcast, and it is a part of the Red Rock. God, that's hard to say. Red Rock Network.
Red Rock.
I want to say Red Rum. Red Rum. So we're going to be on that. That's a podcast founded by Dino Red. I would say he is the homie, but I have not met him physically yet. So we're just going to save that. But I feel that we are the homie already. And we're going to get up on a Sunday morning and drive to his house. And we're going to take the kids. So if you don't hear from us after that day, you know where to come look for us. Dino has got us, okay? You will know that we got snared in the new COINTEL Pro fucking sting. No, we are here to talk about some things because there's a lot to talk about.
What happened this week?
Oh my God, so much
We're
happened.
a little late, so we should get to it.
Yeah, what should we start with? Should we talk about? So we could do some Trump be Trumping. We can start with some high notes with some excellence. We could talk about some catching hell.
Trump, catching hell, and finish off with excellence, so we can all sleep well, better.
All right,
decently.
All right.
Yeah, no.
Trump be Trumping? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
All right, let's
you don't want to jump right in?
Let's jump in some.
Whatever.
No, let's do it. Okay, so the first thing we gotta say about Trump. God, I gotta turn this down, Mike. It's like my that's a little bit better. Okay. So Trump is your president. I don't know why you let that happen, but you did. It's your fault.
Yeah, he's hitting his stride now.
Good gracious. I mean, yeah. So anyways, what is he doing? He's deporting people. He's stopping people at the border. He's breaking up families. He's inciting violence against the media. That's bad.
What is the fart bill? I see you have something called the fart bill.
I know. I was trying to. It was too good. I couldn't even start with it because it's so good. But but might as well. I might as well get into it. And I'm reacting a little bit because the sounds a little weird right now, and I'm not sure why. And I'm gonna roll with it. And if it sounds weird in the final analysis, it just sounds weird. I don't know what to do about that. But yeah, so Trump. Trump is Trump is about tariffs, and when I say he's about tariffs, I mean he's a populist, and when I say he's a populist, I mean his rhetoric is about giving power back to the ordinary people, listening to the man on the street, wherever the man may be, or the woman, I assume he would say, and so part of that is tariffs, right? So he sees that part of his place in history is going to be fighting back against the forces of history, which have. No, I'm not going to be able to. Hold on, I can't deal with how wrong the sound sounds.
Oh,
so hold on one second.
Hold on, guys.
Yep, pardon me. That was a punch because. God, I feel like old times. I may be a little bit paranoid, but the sound sounded weird on my side, so I changed it a little bit, and it's probably going to sound just as weird, but fuck it. We're just going to keep on going because Daddy's had a couple of drinks, and I'm not sure if I'm hearing the sound correctly or not at this point, to be honest with you. But anyways, we're talking about Trump, and we're talking about the fact that he's a populist, and what that means is that his story is that he is for the little guy, okay? So part of that is tariffs. And what that means is that tariffs are a financial tool that we use in order to encourage the stability or the growth of a domestic product, of a domestic industry. So in this case, for Trump, for some reason, Trump has a big hard-on for steel and aluminum. So he's saying any aluminum that doesn't come from this country, people have got to pay an extra fee to send it over here, okay? And that sounds great because the idea is that, well, people aren't going to want to spend the extra money to send it over here. Instead, they'll buy locally produced steel and aluminum, which will be cheaper because the people who produce it here won't have to pay these tariffs. That's the general idea of tariffs.
Yeah, their costs would go up because their supplier is paying a tariff.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you use aluminum foil, which I'm sure you do, God knows who doesn't, then the price of aluminum foil is going to go up, and so you can either buy the expensive aluminum foil that's coming from France, or you can buy the cheap aluminum foil that's coming from America. Of course, you're going to buy the cheap aluminum foil. So that is why the issue of tariffs is a populist little guy sort of concern.
But this is more going to affect like construction.
So yeah,
right?
So that construction, cars, anything that uses big pieces of sheet metal is going to be affected. But he's not happy with just the ability to impose these tariffs, which he has as the executive. He already has this power. Instead, he wants to be able to abandon central World Trade Organization rules altogether. He wants to be able to sidestep the entire global community in order to form direct deals or relationships with individual countries. And the reason that this is an interesting idea, and I'm saying interesting quote unquote, because I don't want to just jump to the liberal, whatever you expect, whatever you think I'm going to say, kind of thing, and just say it. But the reason the WTO is a dope thing is because it basically sets a standard for the way that a bunch of different nations can do business with each other. And without it, essentially what you have is sort of, I don't want to say chaos, but basically, let's just say fucking chaos, for lack of a better word, with every individual nation negotiating specific rates and agreements with each other, which is, I don't even know how to begin. If that sounds like a good idea to you, then you can just turn this podcast off because I don't. Yeah,
that's America first.
Yeah, that's America first. That's not the way that we've done business, and it's not the way the rest of the world sees things, and it's not even the way that our business people in this country see things. Because interestingly enough, the Chamber of Commerce just came out against these tariffs. They're saying they're a bad idea for the American economy. They're saying they're going to cost jobs. Harley Davidson has said that they're going to have to move production overseas in order to save jobs. In order to maintain profitability and keep the same amount of jobs. But that's not even the point. The point is that Trump wants more power, and the way that he wants to get this is through the Fair and Reciprocal Tariffs Act bill, which is, if you're doing your acronizing, the FART bill. That means the fart bill. The fart bill, guys. Yeah. That's right. So, I don't even know. I don't have a punchline for that. I guess
it's a piece of shit.
It's a piece of shit, or at least what comes before the piece of shit. And what amazes me is that there's no one. I guess the same people who okayed Melania wearing that fucking jacket are the same people that said the fart bill sounds like a good thing. You know what it is? It is because the thing is wide open. That is the sound that I'm reacting to, is because the sonics are off. Should we just leave it open, or should we just... I'm going to close it.
Seems to be bothering you.
It is. It is. I see what it is. All right. I was wondering why everything sounded so echoey and far away. It's because...
Okay, I think we got it.
That's a lot better. That is actually a ton better for me, at least. I mean... Not that I don't love the ambiance of outside and the traffic and the cars and everything like that, but I have very important things to talk about. So anyways, that's the fart bill. And as I was mentioning, these tariffs are opposed by the Chamber of Commerce. They're opposed by Harley-Davidson. They're opposed by every sensible, business-oriented person who wants to keep the global engine of the economy running.
When is this supposed to take effect?
Well, that's a good question. The tariffs themselves take effect in the next couple of weeks, in July, unless they do something different about it. But this particular bill, the fart bill, is just a bill, so it has to actually be voted on and all kinds of shit. So I doubt it'll actually make it through the whole thing. But what's interesting about it is that even with the vast and broadly validated powers of the presidency, which have recently been augmented and rubber stamped by the Supreme Court, which we'll get into next, because fuck it, it's all just darkness and gloom, and we might as well just deal with it up front. You know, you go into the podcast with a plan, you know, with so much on your mind, like a good word and things you want to say, and then you get on your podcast and then you remember what the world actually is, and you know. I need that cigarette now. God, this has been a bad news week, guys. I guess that's what I'm trying to say overall. Because I don't even want to talk about the main thing. The main thing is SCOTUS. The main thing is that...
Yeah, the Supreme Court. So, as we all know, or we should know, there was an empty seat while Obama was still president. And he nominated Merrick Garland, who, by all accounts, was someone that both sides, parties... had wanted. But now, led by Mitch McConnell, I guess that would be the House, refused to vote on whether or not Merrick Garland could be nominated. Not nominated, but they refused to basically question him and potentially approve his nomination.
They wouldn't even talk to him.
Because they were like, fuck that. He's an outgoing president. We need to let the new president pick the Supreme Court justice. McConnell
minted what we call now the McConnell rule.
So that's what they did. And Trump nominated this guy, Neil Gorsuch. Well, now, and he is a right-leaning conservative judge in the vein of Antonin Scalia, who fucking died, which is why there was an empty spot.
That happened.
And since he's been on the bench, they handed down lots of decisions. One, the Trump Muslim ban has now been deemed legal.
In effect.
And it is now in effect. So all of the circuit court judges who had said, hey, this shit is illegal. You can't just have a ban based on a person's nationality. Now the Supreme Court is saying, actually, you can. You're the president. You can do that. It's legal. Move forward.
Right.
Then it was like, boom, the next day, they were like, oh, these gerrymandering that y'all did in Ohio?
Texas.
I thought it was also Ohio.
It might have been Ohio as well, but particularly in Texas.
So, again, lower court judges were like, you know what, that's just illegal because the way y'all set it up, it's people of color who are going to be disenfranchised and kept from being able to vote. Basically, purging these voter rolls if you haven't voted in the last, 1 or 2 last elections, your name will just get dropped off. And then you'll have to go through the whole process again of being re-eligible to vote. And who knows, depending on what kind of new voter ID laws there are, there could potentially now be so many obstacles for people to be to re-register in time for the November midterm elections. So there was that. Boom. Then the next day, what was the next day?
So then, I'm sorry. I just got a message from one of our listeners, Raheem Shabazz. He just sent me a photograph of some catching hell. 9 racist white Los Angeles police officers aimed their gun on an unarmed black woman during a traffic stop. So apparently this just happened. He just posted it 5 hours ago. Sorry, I was distracted by just the amount of craziness going on.
There was a lot of catching hell this week.
There's a lot of catching hell, but the SCOTUS, then they also ruled against public sector unions.
Right, that was the other big one,
which is a huge one because my mother was in the union. She was a public sector employee. She worked for the VA. She worked with veterans. When they talk about these things, like in these blithe terms, this deep state shit, what they're talking about are people with jobs and pensions who work in the government, people who have dedicated their life to public service their entire lives, and now they're being vilified as somehow on the public teat, as somehow getting over on the system or whatever. And so
basically they are saying that not all people have to pay in, even if they're not active members, which is potentially going to significantly impact the money that unions have that they use to lobby for what they want. So but that's always a weird one because it would seem like middle working class people would be in a union. Like, that's a very American thing. So wouldn't that affect the type of constituent that votes for Trump? I'm
it's like I'm
unclear on how this benefits his base.
I hear you, and I resonate
like all
with
those
that
coal
so
jobs. Like, wouldn't all those coal jobs essentially be most of them unionized, and then that might advocate for like some sort of like health.
Well, see,
safety.
this is how they
don't want that now just to get the job.
This is how they operate so effectively, is that they vilify everyone. They turn everyone into a self-serving actor. They say the unions don't really care about you. You know, they support the Democrats blindly, and they vote for policies that don't benefit you. So, fuck them, and you can't support them. So support us instead. So then they support them, and then they say, okay, well, what you guys really need to do is not unionize at all. What you need to do is negotiate directly with your employer and
basically take whatever the fuck you can get.
And take whatever the fuck you can get.
Most times not a lot, and certainly not what you need.
Absolutely.
So there goes your annual or every 2-year raises. There goes the potentially more money being paid into your pension.
Yes, work caps on how much overtime they can charge. They can make you work without paying you for overtime, or compensating you for time off, or workers' compensation,
basically,
or any of these things.
All the rules that make sure you're not in a sweatshop.
People need to read Dickens.
That's why they were started.
People need to go back and read some Charles Dickens, because
you used to work more than 8 hours, without pay. This is what guarantees your lunch breaks and your bathroom breaks, and as he's saying, your time off based on hours worked and your vacation time that you earned. So in terms of that negotiating power, if you're lucky, you'll still be, and you have a somewhat decent boss, you may be able to still get some of that, but you won't have the power of thousands of other people also lobbying, and basically that collective bargaining power. And I think that's really where, as you're saying, they've managed to control the narrative and demonize the whole group and the whole idea of collective bargaining. Anything that helps the majority of people can't be good. That's some liberal shit.
Yeah, and it really just...
if it actually benefits you.
Even if it benefits you, because there's something at play here in terms of tribalism. And, I mean, I've had enough drinks to just get to the... Look, there's a thing about racism and white supremacy, and when these Republicans show up and they start talking about the Democrats aren't really supporting ordinary people or regular working people. What that's code for is they're not supporting white people. What that's code for is that the Democrats don't care about white people. They only care about their identity centric politics or whatever and things of this nature. But the fact of the matter is that the politics of black people, the politics of immigrants, the politics of Latinos and people that are trying to get a leg up in the economy are the same politics as poor white people who are trying to get a leg up. There is no difference in the policies that would result.
The Democrats essentially are saying, let's help everybody. And Trump's base is like, fuck that. Let's help white people.
Yeah. And
straight, white, Christian families led by straight white men.
Listen, and don't get me wrong.
If above all, and if no one else benefits, that's okay with us. And basically, Democrats are like, not really okay with us. We definitely want to help white people, but we definitely think we should help the other people who live here, are born here, work here, pay taxes here, support this economy, support this society as well. And
look, I'll be the first to admit, Democrats got a lot of issues. I am not a Democrat because I was born coming out the womb cripped up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not blue by nature. I'm not a blue blood or anything like that. It's that I want to have a conversation with my leadership. And when I look to somebody to have a conversation with, I got one side that's saying you're a human being. And I got another side that's saying I'm a rapist, murderer, fucking lazy, low IQ individual. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, one person wants to have a conversation on the basis of my humanity, and another person wants to have a conversation on the basis of petrified social constructs and prejudice and racism and white supremacy.
That denies the humanity of basically everyone else.
There's no, I'm sure there's some gay people out there right now that's like, yo, I would love to be a Republican and get these tax cuts popping off, and they're like, but they want to deny me the ability to get married. They want to deny me the ability to pass on my property to who I, to my loved ones. They want to deny me my full humanity, and so they're like, fuck that. You know what I'm saying?
I think Caitlyn Jenner is a great example of that because nothing happened recently that I know of, but Amanda Seales was reposting that video from approximately a year ago, where she was at some sort of dinner party with Caitlyn Jenner, and that's kind of when she kind of blew up in that sense when she went viral. She confronted Caitlyn Jenner about how Caitlyn Jenner can say, I still believe in this country, and Amanda Seales is like, you know what? I understand why you can say that based on the experience that you have had in this country, but I would never say something like that because my experience as a black woman has been significantly different, and Caitlyn's only beginning to understand the conflict as now she lives her life as a trans woman, and now some of her humanness of the American government, and the American government does not have a place in their heart and any goodness for people like her as she now presents her life, whereas prior to her transition, her life as a straight white male was celebrated and applauded, and he had a very good life based on that identity.
Yes.
So, I just think that that's a really great example to see how what we are saying, whether it's Democrats or whoever, it's not made up. It's not fabricated. I mean, here is one person in the public eye where you can really pinpoint the changes they made in their life, and now the challenges that they're having. And even still, she's still rich and she's still white, so she's not having the same challenges that people of color, straight or otherwise, are having.
Well said. I did want to say this about the SCOTUS thing, though. Because there's a lot of panic on so-called quote unquote our side. We're fucked. They're gonna, abortion's about to become illegal in 23 states.
Well, I think before we can get there, also, lastly, Justice Anthony Kennedy.
Oh, right.
The next day, basically like 4 days. Jesus. It was like 3-4 days in a row. And then the final nail in the coffin that really made, I think, progressives be like, oh shit, I'm having a heart attack. Justice Kennedy, who is somewhat of a moderate-ish. Sometimes
he's a moderate conservative.
He's the swing vote. Yes, he's the swing vote. So sometimes he will agree with the other left-leaning justices for the majority. And sometimes he is on the other side, or he will be a dissenting voice. He said he's retiring, which means that Trump will be able to appoint another Supreme Court justice.
Which is what his
this is where
base,
now
which
we
is what
have
his base voted
a right-leaning Supreme Court, which, you know, these people have lifetime appointments. If he appoints someone relatively young, meaning in their 50s or 60s, they could certainly be on the bench for the next 2 decades, which is essentially be, what is that, 1 or 2 generations? Easily. That's kind of a big one, because the things they just passed is with the court still relatively, maybe you could say almost balanced, but now it's already, we're catching hell on this side of saying, hey, all people deserve their full humanity and we need to fight for equal rights and civil rights on all sides. So it looks like that would essentially be going away for the next 2 generations. I haven't read I haven't really looked up all the justices on his short list, but I did read one article today. They're looking at an Indian American.
Yep, they are. Who,
you know, by all accounts is okay by the Bar Association and seems to be fair. And they were saying that there are much worse picks that he could nominate. Obviously, at this point, we still don't know who the final nomination will be. But in this one, might be a good attempt to appeal to the voters who think that Republicans are racist or just want to uphold white supremacy. So by appointing a person of color from a minority group, Indian Americans who aren't widely represented in Congress or in, you know, government positions, he can appeal to that side of the base and to the narrative that says they are only for the straight white evangelical male. So I don't know if I should have my fingers crossed that they do this guy, or, you know, in the sense that otherwise it could be much worse. I don't, like I said, I haven't really reviewed the entire short list, but I think part of it is, regardless of whoever, I mean, you know, I thought this weekend was a good example because I heard all that news and I was like, fuck. It was harsh. It was harsh. It was way harsh, Ty. Mm-hmm. So, we had an option this weekend. One was to go to a march, which to protest these immigrant deportations and separating families, and they were happening all over the country, sometimes at or near deportation centers, to say we need to unite families and we need to stop this inhumane process of separating young children and criminalizing asylum seekers and all of that, which I really considered. I haven't gone to a march in years, but this one felt, you know, I have young children and it definitely hit close to home, and I was going to go and thinking take the kids. And then on the other hand, Solnick was happening this weekend. Solnick is an event that has been happening, I guess, for the past 8 years. And it's essentially like a soul picnic / family reunion vibe out here in LA, the outskirts of Los Angeles, at a huge recreation area. Hundreds and hundreds of people, families gather. They bring their picnics, their canopies, their drinks, their kids, so many kids, in this beautiful grassy tree shaded area. And there's a stage where DJs play house music all day long. And we decided to go to that. And I'm actually really glad we did. I think this is a great example of when, you know, they're saying, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the state of affairs in the world, take a break. Sometimes you got to tap out. I mean, some people went to the march, and so all the props to those who did that and stood up and let their voice be heard. Me, I needed to tap out a little bit. I was feeling really down, and being around so much melanin, so many families, people celebrating, still finding joy amongst all the shit was really what my soul needed. And it was great to be able to be out with the family and to see all these beautiful black people and people who weren't black as well, but definitely a lot of black people out there dancing, smiling, laughing, fellowshipping. It was really great. I ran into so many people I knew. We ran into the lovely couple, Tiffany and Mike from Damn We Grown. So it was a little podcast meeting there. It was really great to finally put a name to a face. Well, for you. Yeah. For Nyaze.
Y'all go way back.
I know Mike. We went to high school together. So it was great. I literally haven't seen him in fucking 20 years. So.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I left the IE, and I don't think we had hung out at all in the interim. And so it was nice to see him again after all these years, meet his lovely wife and his daughter, and vice versa. That he met my husband and our kids, and we talked. It felt like it definitely was a step in terms of finally getting together and doing a podcast, a joint podcast episode together.
No doubt.
And again, I saw so many people there, and I think a lot of us, we needed that. And so much props to those who went out to a march. I knew a woman today who participated in some civil disobedience with our council member, Mike Bonin.
Oh, Jenny.
And they were essentially arrested, but because the police knew that they were coming and they were just going to sit down and block a deportation center. They only used zip ties. They were never actually in the jail. They were just processed and basically got like a traffic ticket. It wasn't even a misdemeanor. But, you know, she kept saying in her post, like, this is a big deal for me. Like, I've never been arrested. Like, I've never, like, confronted the police.
She voluntarily interacted with the authorities.
She's a white woman, you know, so I do want to give her props, and anyone else who did that, because that, I think, might be what it's going to take. I mean, in some areas, at some times, and like I said, this week I tapped out, but in another week I won't tap out. We'll be at the march. We'll be there with the kids, or maybe we'll participate in civil disobedience, and really to be an example to our kids, especially our 9-year-old, that, you know, this is what did Congressman John Lewis call it? The good trouble. I think this summer and leading up to the midterm elections, everyone who claims wokeness in any way, shape, or form is going to have to get in where they fit in and find some way to make good trouble.
I like that. That kind of rolls into to the topic of civility, which was a big topic that came out of this whole kind of conversation. You know, well, also I want to add on. You know, in terms of SCOTUS, there were also, whenever trouble hits, it gets people thinking. So a lot of people started thinking on the Democratic side, on the liberal side, on the progressive side, like, what the fuck can we do? Not much right now, the way things are looking, you know, because of the way that the government is stacked. But, you know, one of the interesting things that came up to me is that there doesn't have to be 9 Supreme Court justices. That shit is not a constitutional fixture. So there's some talk on the, you know, there is some talk on our side. It's like, well, if the Republicans and Trump are gonna, like, you know, bulldoze to the tea shop, you know what I'm saying? Well, we can put together the China any way we want now. Like, there is something to be said at this point in the game. Civility may be out the fucking window with this shit.
It's gotta be out the window. And
like, we gotta stop this shit. Yeah.
I think in terms of legislatively, that's what we're talking about. The Supreme Court is the highest legislative or judicial branch in the country. Yeah, so yes. In terms of judiciously and how these laws are being handed down, I think our best bet, in addition to our protests and letting our voice be heard, is to really vote in the midterm election. I don't feel... Am I being naive? Because at this point, whatever bills are introduced... they need to be passed by Congress, both the House and the Senate, and that is our best chance of essentially taking back some of these seats, so that they don't have a clean sweep, they don't have an easy route to get some of these bills passed. And even if it was just a matter of who they nominated, Congress has to vote on this. So I mean, imagine if for some reason, I don't think this is going to happen, but if for some reason Trump did not nominate and they didn't approve of justice pre-November, by essentially shifting so many of the seats in Congress, we then have more of a voting block to say, we don't like this candidate, bring someone new who is at least a moderate, or bring back Merrick Garland, or what about this bitch over here, whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that is where on that level we could have our voice represented. And so I think this midterm election is really proving, and it's only July, is going to be a really crucial one.
We gotta take back the legislature for sure. We gotta, on our side. But it's even more than that, because the Democrat, I was gonna vote. I voted for Hillary. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't vote for Hillary today. I voted for Hillary when she was the option against Trump. But that's not who the Democratic Party needs right now. The Democratic Party doesn't even need Bernie Sanders. The Democratic Party needs that. Who's the lady who was just elected in New York?
Yeah, she's
a socialist. She's a progressive socialist who ran on democratic socialist principles. And Nancy Pelosi comes out and she says it was a fluke. It's an aberration.
Right, because she beat the Democrat.
Because she beat the successor. She beat the guy who's the number two. She beat the number 2 Democrat.
It wasn't like she was against a Republican. She beat the Democrat in the primary. So now she's going up against the Republican candidate. And towards that being, it's a fluke, they basically came back with the receipts. It was like, no, bitch, we went to this meeting. We went and talked to this group. We was over here. We were on the ground. We were talking to people. And I think that's a good example of maybe he did something along the lines of what Hillary did, where he took it for granted. He took some of these Democratic votes for granted, and people want something different than what the traditional Democratic platform is.
That's what I'm saying. People in a nutshell want effectiveness. And the thing with Trump is that even though he's a lunatic and is a complete fucking hack and doesn't have a clue, not a single clue as to what he's doing, he's just like completely leading with his fucking cock. He just has an idea of like, this is what America should be, and he's just fucking going for it. And on some level, as a man who also has a cock, I can fucking relate to that impulse and like, good for you. But that's not who I want as president. I don't want to be president. That's why I wouldn't vote for Kanye West as president, because I don't want somebody who's just waking up at 3:00 in the morning with a fucking idea and saying this is what everybody in the whole world needs to get with. I want somebody who's circumspect. I want somebody who's considerate. I want somebody who's thinking about their mistakes, right? So what I'm saying is that when it comes to it, like, it doesn't. Like, fuck Trump is what I'm saying. We all know that, right?
Trump be trumping.
Trump be
trumping. And her name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Thank you. But what we need is more of her in the Democratic Party. Like, fuck Trump. We all agree.
Her right now.
We agree on fuck Trump. That's easy. But we also want something to be for. When we tired of this same old. What we want is effectiveness. Trump is effective in his own fucked up way. And I'm not trying to say I admire him, but what we want on our side is you do want to see them bulldoze. Like, they got Obamacare out of like Obama's presidency. You know what I'm saying? That's all we got. And they're basically dismantling that shit like step by step as they go, just by not doing anything about it, just by not caring about it. And the next time that we have the reins of power, what I'm saying is like, what we have is that we still have these Democrats, these lukewarm Democrats that are like, well, if we get power, we still gotta, make overtures to the Trump voters, and we gotta, make them.
And I think what was great about what this young woman did was she was basically like, I'm for the progressives. I said abolish ICE. I said fuck this. I said fuck that. Let's tear it all down and really start something new that is founded on, one second here, guys, is really founded on equal human rights. And people responded to that. Exactly. So I think on the same side where these rural flyover citizens felt ignored and unheard and didn't have a voice, there are also people who are far more progressive, who want to see everyone's full humanity respected and protected by the law of this country, who feel ignored and unheard. So when there's an opportunity and those people are out and about trying to get votes, they vote for them.
Yes.
So again, it's really important that learn about your Congress people.
Yeah,
learn about when the elections are.
And you know what? You just said something. You reminded me of something very important. Is that if there's anything that differentiates our side versus their side, and I hate that fucking heuristic of sides, but that's what we got. That's what we got in this country. We got cowboys and Indians. Is that look at the result? don't just look at the intention of the person. You know, a lot of people come out there, and our whole politics is based on so and so wants to do this, they want to do that. Trump wants to bring back the jobs. He wants to protect America. He wants to, all this kind of stuff. Great, that's wonderful. Yo, intentions. I want to make $1 million next year. That's my intention. Okay, look at the fucking result. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm coming home to mail and I'm like, yo, my intention is to pay the rent, but the fact of the matter is, at some point, Mel got to be like, what the, you know what I'm saying? It ain't a good investment. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we got to look at some other alternatives about how to pay the rent. I'm just saying, with thank God I can pay the rent. But the point is, with Trump, like, look at what he's trying to do. He came into this economy with a fucking mint economy. Obama fucking mopped this shit for you. He drove Miss Daisy. He fucking tap danced. He goddamn hit a home run. He fucking cured cancer. He did everything. He did everything you asked him to do except solve racism, because y'all fucking are some racist motherfuckers. And that's just can't be changed in America. But he did everything you wanted to do. He turned the whole housing crisis into fucking some surplus and some good shit. He made it so good, y'all niggas thought tax cuts was a good idea. Okay? This is what I'm trying to say. And now we look at all the people, all the measurements, all the soothsayers. I hear the baby too.
Damn, how we hear him from out here?
I hear the baby too. All right, well, I'll just preach. So then we take all the soothsayers, all the people that we say are the ones that we should pay attention to in terms of knowing where we are in terms of the economy, and all of those people are saying, tap the brakes on this tariff shit, tap the brakes on this trade war, tap the brakes on this America First policy, because America First it sounds good. I mean, it's a great slogan, but the thing is, the reason America is great is because it conquered the rest of the world, or it helped the rest of the world become the rest of the world. After World War II, it went to all the other countries and helped establish a sort of peace, enough peace at least, for us to trade and to have these systems of reconciliation and shit, instead of having to resort to war every single time that we had a disagreement. And now Trump is saying, fuck all of that. Who cares about NATO? Who cares about these strategic alliances? Who cares about the WTO and the World Trade Organization? I can't believe I'm defending the World Trade Organization. Guys, please take away my fucking progressive card. But I'm saying, you know what I mean? My point being is that all of this, it's great to rail against the system, but you got to have a system to rail against. You know what I mean? And with Trump, what we're seeing is that the erosion of all of these systems, all these things, and all these mores. And when you ask the people who are rah-rah and, you know, and shish boom bah and all the destruction of the system, you ask, well, what do you want to see in its place? What do you want to see there as opposed to what is currently there? And they can't fucking tell you. There's nothing. There's nothing they can tell you. It's some story, some Ayn Rand pipe dream or whatever about, you know, jobs, and nevertheless he persisted, and, you know, and by the grit of our teeth and pulling up by bootstraps and metaphors of this nature. Yeah, so anyways, it's fucking bullshit. Guys, the baby kind of got us, so why don't we pause, and we'll be right back with part 2. All right. Thanks. All right. We were talking about something. I was catching the Holy Ghost, and then
let's
the baby
shift to our next segment.
Yes, let's. I think we've talked about civility. We've talked about Trump be Trumping, the SCOTUS decision. We've talked about all kinds of catching up. I mean, there's so many things.
Vote, register to vote, call bank, and help others register to vote. My thing is like, I'm like, okay, where can I give money to whoever is the organization that is like, yo, we got a van and we about to drive all damn day to get some of these older people or people who don't drive, or basically need assistance in any way to the polls. Or I feel like this is the thing too. My mom, she gets around. She does not drive, but this woman gets around town. But you know what she does come election? She mails in her ballot. every time. She like, I ain't fucking with that.
Get there, yeah.
I ain't rushing.
Ballot is the
I
look.
ain't stressing.
That's the look.
So I think that's another option. You don't necessarily have to spend all day driving people back and forth. In certain communities, we can really push the mail-in ballot.
Yeah,
so that they don't have to leave the house. I just think we have to get... Basically, nobody wants the traditional way. Democrats, progressives, Republicans, whoever. We're all dissatisfied with how things have been done. And the kind of inertia and the sluggishness of how the traditional way has been working. So let's shake that up. And I think one way is vote early.
Yeah. Another thing, vote early, and there's also no substitute for knowing what the fuck you know, and I don't want to put too fine a point on this because it's not about a particular person or whatever, but I have experiences with individuals and they lead me to draw conclusions about groups, and I just feel like part of this is education, and unfortunately the public school system is not going to educate you sufficiently to think for yourself enough in this fucking jungle called life. So you're going to have to go to the library, pick up some books, some fucking People's History of the United States by was it Zimmerman? I can't remember that Zimmerman. That's not definitely.
Oh
not
Jesus!
Howard
Zinn.
Howard Zinn. Thank you, Jesus Christ.
No, Zimmerman. Oh God, we might have to cut this whole podcast short, y'all.
But you guys are talking about.
We might have to cut the whole damn thing short.
I got Zimmerman on my brain because Jay-Z was on Drake's Scorpion, and he was musing out loud, talking about y'all kill X, but let Zimmerman live. The streets is dead. So I've had Zimmerman on my mind. But anyway, read some Howard Zinn, educate yourself about this country, understand what your self-interest actually is, because otherwise you will not know who to vote for. You will not recognize a good policy when it is presented to you.
Also, I think, what this Alexandra, this woman from New York did, I mean, her district was like Bronx and Queens. She was like on the ground, like talking to people. And a lot of these people had never voted. I just read a statistic that said they increased the primary voting by 68%.
They just,
in this 68% in this district. That means she talked to people that had never been talked to before by the person running for the office. Basically, this Democrat. They didn't know that motherfucker.
Wow.
And so they were like, fuck that, we not voting. She said, hey, I'm running, and this is what I stand for. Let me literally sit down next to you and explain what my vision is for this district to literally help you and your family and your children. And they showed up and they showed out. So that can happen all over the country.
Amen.
But not only do we need to find the candidates that are doing that, we have to listen. So if we hear, okay, there's a town hall, go to the fucking town hall, even if you don't stay the whole time.
Go.
I know we're all so tired. Trust me, I literally just took like a 3-hour nap and I want to go right back to bed. We are all tired, but 30 minutes, squeeze in 30 minutes less of Instagram. I'm talking to myself here. 30 minutes less of social media scrolling and catch some information.
That's all. I mean, guys, if you could see the fucking notes I have here for all the stories that went on the week, I actually just sorry. I stagger beneath the weight of all these goddamn. I mean, like, just at Catching Hell, I got like 20 stories about black people, LGBTQ people just getting shit on. Maxine Waters, the Democratic Party turning fucking turncoat on her after she just stood up for us like the fucking black queen that she is. God damn it. Black sororities having police called on them. White women calling Mexicans rapists to their face. Black boys having the cops call them at the goddamn cinema. White students being lying about getting raped and shit. I mean, you know what I'm saying? By black people. I mean,
I know last weekend we had this woman calling the cops on an 8-year-old girl selling water in San Francisco.
Permit Patty.
There was like a Giants game or whatever, baseball. So she on her stoop selling water, trying to make some money. And this bitch gonna come out and call the police talking about she don't have a permit. Excuse me? You talking about the 8-year-old doesn't have a permit to sell water.
To sell
and
water.
That's a problem. Because, and I was like, and then she wants to act like, well, race had nothing to do with it. I didn't even think about that. Well, really? Because I venture to say that you have never called the police on little girls in a uniform selling Girl Scout cookies.
But you know what? Karma is a worker, because turns out this trick like to sell.
Well, she has a dispensary for
weed doggy
pets.
treats. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like CBD, I think, infused dog treats. Well, by the time that video went up, you know how Twitter do. We did the research. We found out her Twitter handle. And what was crazy is because I saw it all kind of happening live. I saw the video. I was like, oh, shit. Then within like 4 hours, and I looked at her Instagram profile. All her information was there. Like, this is my business. Da, 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 da. Within 4 hours, that shit was private. Maybe less.
Look at God.
And then her Instagram profile, her business was gone. And basically, it happened so quickly. The video went viral. People that were selling her products as retailers, they were like, we're not selling her shit no more. And of course, the Twitter detectives also found out that for quite some time she was operating without a permit. So it was like the hypocrisy of this entrepreneur to shit on a little girl also being entrepreneurial. It was like, what the fuck is your goddamn problem, Patty?
That's really no metaphor better than that.
Permit,
honestly.
Patty, what is your, like, what crawled up your ass?
I mean, that's the metaphor.
Just buy the water, or ask her and her mom to bring it down, or just close your fucking window. If your window faces the street, just shut it. Just shut it.
And liberal ass San Francisco at that. That's another thing that's crazy, is that all these places we think of as being these bastions of sort of sense and sensibility and all this shit. You know
with
what I mean?
gentrification, it's all new people moving in.
There you go.
And they want different rules.
Well, on the other side of that coin, the cops called, some people called the cops on a boy who was mowing a lawn. He had the goddamn self-volitional, self-directed ingenuity to start his own business mowing a lawn. And you know how hard it is to mow a lawn? In Ohio, in the humidity, 12 years old, that boy should have a goddamn medal. But 12-year-old Ohioan Reggie Fields was mowing his lawn in a suburb of Cleveland, and somebody called the cops on him because they didn't recognize him. Or no, apparently
he cut a little bit. He was cutting a woman's grass.
Yes.
Who said, "Please cut my grass. I will pay you." Yes. And he accidentally cut a little bit of the neighbor's grass, and that neighbor called the police. What the fuck? Who calls the cops on someone mowing your own lawn? Were you gonna do it? Were you doing it?
But karma's a work, and thank God this is becoming a more common occurrence. Is that the police actually was like, "You're tripping." Like that little niglet is out there working his ass off.
The same thing with the little girl. It's like, do you want her selling drugs?
It's ridiculous.
Like,
man.
why don't they see the connection where if you discourage the youth from trying to make money in a way that doesn't harm anybody, when you take those options away, when you try to criminalize what they're doing, they will turn to an alternative where nobody basically gives a fuck.
Well,
and they will actually be engaging in criminal activity.
That makes it a lot simpler. If you can get somebody to turn to crime in America, that makes it simpler, because then they can just 13th Amendment your ass.
Yeah, then
right
you clearly lose your humanity.
Yeah, they could just 13.
Do whatever we want.
Get your stick.
I just don't understand how people have so little empathy for children.
Honey, I'm not even.
That's where honey,
these
my
last
disconnect
happens.
happens.
You want to talk about empathy? Hold up, baby. This Catching Hell was deep this week. A priest kicked a grieving black family out of a funeral and then called the police. Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? This comes to us from the Atlanta Black Star. On Tuesday at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Charlotte Hall, Maryland, local station Fox reported hundreds had gathered at the church to mourn the death of 54-year-old Agnes Hicks when Reverend Michael Bries popped his top. Apparently someone knocked over and damaged the church's sacred golden chalice when they went in for a hug near the altar. That's when the witnesses say all hell broke loose, prompting an abrupt end to the funeral. He literally got on the mic and said, "There will be no funeral. There will be no mass. Everyone get the hell out of my church." He disrespected our family. He disrespected my mother. He called my mother a thing. He said, "Get this out of my church. Everyone, get
this thing out of my church."
I've never seen anything like that.
That's crazy. Again, what? Like, this is the thing. When do the things become more important than the people?
I'm like, no,
Jesus,
this happened at a funeral.
A funeral. Jesus Christ himself did not drink out of this chalice. He didn't bless it. He didn't consecrate it.
Let him tell it. Let him tell it.
Why are we putting the value of an object over this ceremony to honor the life of this person of your faith?
Unbelievable.
It's crazy. I don't understand.
It's terrible, man. One last thing to add insult to injury, and we can get the hell out of catching hell, is the oldest living man and veteran just became a victim of identity theft. What the hell is wrong with y'all?
Fuck?
Richard Overton is 112, blessed, highly favored. Blessed and highly favored years old, and apparently somebody accessed his personal savings, and the hacker reportedly set up a fake bank account with this veteran's social security number and began impersonating him, and he stole
money and bought savings bonds.
Thankfully, the veteran's bank account is not connected with the donation page, which was set up.
But somehow all that money... Oh, but much of that money has been spent.
It's been spent already.
The fucking fuck.
112 years old. But at least it's not letting it get to him, because he's still smoking his 12 cigars a day with a side of whiskey and Coca-Cola. God damn it, right. He knows what his priorities is. He's like, look, you ain't going to steal my joy.
His money. That's...
The oldest of y'all ain't got no shame. Y'all ain't got no shame.
All your favorites.
Jesus, what's wrong with you? Why can't y'all hackers do no good shit like erase our debt or free to criminals or whatever? Y'all some whack ass hackers, man. I'm tired of this shit.
Wow, I know that was my favorite part of Fight Club. When all of the financial institutions just bombed it.
I'm still living.
It was such a beautiful moment.
I'm still living for
when
that.
They would just watch that.
That's my retirement plan. I'm hoping eventually somebody gets a schizophrenic, psychopathic break and fucking bombs all the creditors. That is my retirement plan, guys. Get to it. Snap to it. Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of catching hell. All right, what's next? We
talk about
catching hell. There's when we talk about shootings as well.
We could talk about those. I got a bunch of those
just the two. There's the Antoine Rose, the young man who was shot by the police officer. Mm-hmm. He was shot in the back while he was running away. And the bullshit on this, other than he shot a young child that died without really just maybe arresting him for the crime that you didn't even know for sure that he committed. But this officer had been a new hire. This motherfucker hadn't been on the force for like a week, and he had been fired from his previous department for, who knows what for, but still, if you get fired from one police department, you really should not be able to just get a job at the next one.
That's like I get a job at a restaurant, and within hours of starting, I poison somebody. You know what I'm saying?
And I got fired from my last restaurant job.
And I got fired for poisoning somebody. Yeah, exactly. Like, what the hell is... Why is being police... Look, no disrespect to any of the police out there, because when you pull me over, we cool, bro. But why is police... Why you only need 60 units of like community college? Why isn't that shit more difficult to be a police? It's more difficult. It's hard to be a teacher. You know how you got to have like college plus some community credits. They got to take your blood. They got to put you in a database. All kinds of shit. Why is it so easy to be a police officer? This is disconcerting.
I think it's particularly when you have a record of misconduct or excessive force.
Yes.
Why is it so easy to get a new job in the same role?
That's what I'm saying.
And then there was, and I don't have my phone with me, but the young man from the Bronx, I believe, who was killed by... Okay, so it was like a 15-year-old boy.
Okay.
He went into a store. He was confronted by 5 adult men who believed that he was involved in some sort of video showcasing a young woman having sex with another young guy. And these adults thought that the young man was the guy who was either in the video or recorded the video that showed this young woman in a compromising situation, and they killed him. But they didn't just shoot him. They brought machetes and they stabbed him on the street, on camera. And what's crazy is that it was captured by like the city cameras or whatever, but people saw this happening. Even the store owner came out to be like, what's happening out in front of my store? Was like, oh shit, somebody getting killed, and just ran back in. Like, so for all of the times where you're like, oh, let me record this so that it can go viral and maybe someone can be held accountable, it's now, there's been memes where it's like, if somebody's life is in danger, how about we also call 911 and record? Can we do both? Can we try to save people's lives and not just capture it for the gram? The
Bronx. This was the Bronx murder. The Trinitarios gang is accused in the machete killing. God damn, that is some New York shit too. Machetes?
That's what tripped me out.
Jesus Christ, man. That is some I
didn't believe it, and I made the bad decision to watch the video.
I'm definitely good on that. I'm horrific. 100% good with that.
It's horrific.
But the
dude is clearly a child.
Guzman Feliz. I can't. What's his full name?
No, his name is Leosandro.
Leosandro Guzman Feliz. 15 years old. 15 years old.
Very likely it's a case of mistaken identity, and it's like, whoa. So I heard one guy they found and arrested.
I'm keeping it real,
but I don't know if any of the other 4 have been arrested, and it's just like a tragedy of epic proportions. Really, it's like, fuck, I can't even.
Fuck, I'm not watching that.
No, don't watch it. I just can't even deal with it.
My serotonin not even close to being
ready for this. The only reason I even really bring it up is to kind of remind people that it's not just about recording it, I guess, but there should also be. Nah,
people. The thing is, but that's an interesting question
because he was still alive. He's bleeding out, and he had to walk to the hospital, and he died at the hospital. That's my point. It's like there was time.
There was a big question about
save his life.
There was a big question about legality versus moral compulsion, and
that comes up with the teenagers who saw a black man drowning and recorded it and basically made fun of him, and they were arrested, but then at the end they weren't charged because was it Florida or Texas, it is not a crime to report a death.
Yeah, it ain't a crime to not be about shit, apparently,
basically,
which I get, you know what I'm saying, but it's like,
but it's a crime to escape violence in your home country.
You know what fucks me up with about it? The hypocrisy of that shit is that on one hand, it's not a crime to the moral failing of not reporting a death or not jumping in to help somebody not die is that's morally we can somehow be like, all right, that's not a big deal. But then abortion, killing the babies, or the gays, the inserting of penises in the wrong holes. Like, this shit morally is just, oh no, we cannot abide. Oh no, you must be punished for your moral aberration. But morally, you can just watch a motherfucker get hacked to death with a machete,
or watch someone
and record this shit
and record it and make fun of them.
And this is good. This is okay. This is fine. Okay. We're good with this. We're okay. I'm just saying, like, I don't judge humanity so much as I just marvel at the bullshit, and then when I'm asked to have sympathy or empathy for why some shit is this way or the other, and I look like a fucking psychopath, I just want you to know why. That's how my autism works, guys. That's how my Asperger's works. Is that I look at the fucking shit that we go in society and go like, this is okay, but this is not okay. And I'm like, well, it's all arbitrary to me. It all seems like we're just making this shit up as we go along.
Clearly.
And then we go like, and then we prescribe this reaction, this intensity to certain events, and it's like, I don't see why everyone's reacting this way.
I agree. One of our Facebook Live commenters just said that we need to find our compassion again, and it's true. Yeah. We do not have compassion for people who are even remotely outside of our direct circle.
Taking pictures.
It can't be that way. It can't.
It just, there's no rational, it defies our logic.
It's outstanding. It's incredulous to me that people really believe that it can never happen to them or someone that they know and love.
Right. That is the key.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, right now, you're the one watching someone die and you go home.
Yes.
But in a week, you know what I mean? Like, you could get that call. You could be getting that call.
It's ironic to me that what people suffer from is a lack of imagination. Your imagination is dead Because if your imagination was working correctly, you would see how this applies to you very closely. How all this shit is connected. You would see
how all of the pain and suffering all over the world applies to you.
It's word.
I mean, honestly,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's...
If you acknowledge your own full humanity, then there's no way that you can deny the full humanity of another human being. If you can do that, there is something lacking within you.
Yeah.
About your own worth.
And I don't know if you need a therapist or some Jesus.
I mean, I venture to say that some people ascribe their own value, again, to potentially their proximity to white privilege and power associated with white supremacy. So the farther away someone is from that, the less value they attribute to their life.
Don't get me talking about Neymar. I don't want to talk about Neymar right now.
Who wants to talk about Neymar?
Neymar, the guy from the Brazilian.
Oh, I know. I watched the game. I watched the first half.
He's talking about he's not black. That's he's talking about he's not black. They asked him if he experienced racism. He said no, I've never experienced racism on or off the field. But then again, I'm not black. He's mixed. But that's a whole other conversation.
Is he black? Not all Brazilians.
He's half black. He's half black, half white.
Well, I mean, hey.
That's a whole other conversation.
Well, what did I just say? That's what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.
His proximity to whiteness has protected him in addition to him being a soccer superstar. So,
yes.
I just don't like how much time he wastes being quote unquote injured on the field.
Yeah. Well, all right. So
I know. I was a little sad El3 didn't make it. I was kind of rooting for Mexico.
That was as much as I had for the World Cup. I really wanted to contribute a little bit. I wanted to contribute a little bit. It's a huge thing in my job. No, it's a huge thing in my job. So clearly everybody's into it. Let's talk about some excellence before we talk about some excellence. Let's talk about some excellence. Let's get a little palate cleanser. Let's turn the shit-o-meter down to let's turn it down to 3. Eritrea and Ethiopia. 2 countries in Africa you probably do not give a shit about, but I went to a college that had a very vibrant African student union, and I remember mistaking an Eritrean girl for an Ethiopian, she read me the fucking riot act, and she explained to me that they were 2 very hostile countries at that time. They're like mortal
enemies, but they probably like cousins.
They look identical.
But isn't that almost always how it is?
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, even in the Middle East, like, half these people are distant relatives, really. But once you start to draw these lines of, well, this is our country, and this is us, and that's you. I mean, even look at, like, Haiti and Dominican Republic. I mean, they're fucking neighbors. There's people who are of both nationalities, both, literally the DNA is not so different, but we have these arbitrary lines of statehood, and that determines so much. So the excellence part is that they've decided to be friends again. Correct? Am I correct?
It is. And our Facebook Live just went out, so let me see if I can get that popping again. But so that is definitely something
So I mean, what's the like official word on what steps have they taken?
So I don't know if they're taking any real steps so much as that they've had some Trump like, fucking announcements that they're good friends, and everything is dope now, and this is in the age of Trump, this is all you can expect from countries now. There's really no other way to tell if things are going well or not. But okay, so the live stream is coming right back in effect, and I know that we have some friends who are desperately wanting to see us on that, and I want to make that happen for them.
What other excellence do we have? Do you like the new Drake album? I listened to it a little bit. I guess when we was rolling to Soulnik, you were playing it. I'm like over it. I mean, I wasn't really a Drake fan. I definitely can groove to some songs, but I never like downloaded a whole album. I don't play it in my personal day time. And I think, I don't know. I just wasn't really looking for it, checking for it, haven't listened to it. If I choose to listen to any hip hop right now, it's the new J. Cole, which I love.
I think
this is what we call it.
I think
motivate. Okay, sorry.
I think
I like the J. Cole.
I think the Drake record is a perfect summary of his existence currently. I mean, he's like at the top of the game.
Is he still at the top of the game?
He's still at the top of the game. He's at the apex of the game, and he's at that part of the game where essentially you don't have to innovate anymore, or where you're like out of ideas. There's no new tricks. It's like we're familiar with the grammar and the vocabulary of a Drake. So the only real moves he has now are whether to like break from character and to thrill us with some sort of like some new shit, and risk alienating core fans, or whether to double down on like what we know Drake to be and that kind of thing. And
Do
I
people
think
feel like any sense of satisfaction that like he's mentioning his son on the record? Because I didn't really know, and then when it came out in like the Pusha T diss, I was like, what?
I don't know.
And so is anyone like, oh, okay?
Yeah, I don't know if
like that song would have had to have been recorded prior, right?
I think everyone knew about Drake's son, more or less. But it was a rumor. It was still in the rumor phase, but like everyone knew that he had sex with this woman and that she was pregnant and claiming to have a seed, and now it's more confirmation. I think it was interesting, and I read this, and I'm not going to front like my opinion isn't influenced by this article in New York Times that I read, but the whole album felt emotionally distant, and then the one part of the album where I was like really invested was him talking about his son, and that was one song. And it was like, and that was it. And the rest of it was just kind of like, that's all you got to say about that? Really? I mean, okay, all right. You know.
I mean, is it doing well? Is it selling?
It's off the charts. Yeah, like people, it's breaking records, and you know everyone's listening to it. I mean, like he's Drake. He's. I mean, it's smart. He released 25 songs.
25.
It's a double disc. It's 25.
What? I don't think we're at
old
that
school.
stage.
It's some old school.
We're not at that
shit.
stage.
No, he's in
the
some
Drake career. Where
he's
we
in
need
some
that.
Elvis bloat. He's in some Elvis bloat kind of level. You know.
Oh, I'm cool on that.
I'm going to talk more about it on We Come From Bad News.
Yes.
I'm not a huge Drake fan, but I'm sure that I can find some things to argue with Al about regarding it. What else is happening? Excellence. Oprah breaks a new billionaire record.
Yes, bitch.
More money. So she's apparently earned she's the 64-year-old entertainment and media mogul reigns supreme as the first black woman billionaire ever featured on
the Bloomberg Billionaires
Index. So that is another first for our very own Lord and Savior Oprah Winfrey. And then also another one in excellence, and you guys can debate me on this whether you consider it excellent or not. But you know about the grandmother and her AC, the other grandmother who got hemmed up because her 40-year-old daughter wouldn't get the hell out of bed and was soaking up all the good AC. Well, now coming at you, call the police on her, and another, and she got arrested by the police. That grandmother, but this grandmother in Georgia plans to turn her grandson in, who is reportedly armed and on the run after allegedly killing his friend. The woman told reporters she plans to take her grandson, Lonnie Reed, who is wanted for a murder, to the police after he killed his 33-year-old friend, Liddell Williams, following a fight in Stockbridge, Georgia. Okay? So, apparently her grandson, Reed, has eluded the police since June 15th, but his grandma said she'll handle it. Okay, so I just want to be clear that this is not Hattie Reynolds, who is the 94-year-old grandma who was arrested after she tried to get her 46-year-old grandma granddaughter Janine Williams out of bed. This is the new grandma who is going to turn her son in for murder, and I want to say I'm here for it.
Well, I mean, murder is a whole nother level than not getting out of bed and soaking up the AC, which is purely subjective.
I'm just glad
this is crossing a line. So, and he grown. He not like a child. Like even that other one where I was kind of like, well, he's child. Let's have a talk. This is a grown man making very, 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 very bad decisions.
He killed his friend, a 33-year-old. Like some of y'all out here, some of y'all like right now is talking about no snitching. is thinking right now to yourself.
So, I mean, you know, I think once you pick up a gun and you kill someone, you fucked your life up. So, you know, you don't know who's going to turn you over.
Hey,
and,
Lisa. Hey, Lisa. How you doing?
I mean, damn. But it is always, I don't know. I just pray that the universe, the gods, Allah, the creator, all of them watch over my children, and I'm never put in that situation.
Yeah,
where I have to be like, "Yo, you killed this motherfucker. What am I?" And I'm put in the moral dilemma of whether or not to report or somehow say I'll handle it and get my child to the police, because I don't want them to spend the rest of their lives in prison.
I'm not mad at that. Yeah, I'm definitely comfortable.
But I do like that's one where I would be like, "Damn, okay, murder. Okay, that's definitely crossing the line."
Yeah, like if my son didn't, like if he didn't,
like steal some shit, I'll probably like hide you out and find a way to pay for it or something. But like murder,
like if he told me,
if I haven't taught you the value of life, if you haven't learned the value of life, then maybe you don't get to live your life.
I know. I know.
It's not self-defense. You know what I'm saying?
If it's not self-defense,
it was just like some
just
beef,
can't be.
and you just
can't be.
Basically your toxic masculinity took over, and you can't handle yourself.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not. But like, I could also see some anti-hero scenarios where like he maybe killed like the abusive boyfriend or something. Or
yeah, but see, that's not the story.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no extenuating circumstances in that way.
Good point. Good on Grandma. Okay, let's get into some entertainment news. Terry Crews came out against toxic masculinity. Of course, you know about this.
He testified, yes, in his own case.
He did. And he's not been really getting
a lawsuit towards this agent who grabbed his penis, balls, genitalia.
Yes. And he's not been treated well by people universally.
He is and that's the crazy thing too, because when the white boy came out and said, "Yo, Kevin Spacey touched me inappropriately,"
there was no question.
They was like, "Oh, fuck that." They pulled all the shit Kevin Spacey was doing.
Get him out of there.
But here a black man is saying, "Yo, this dude touched me inappropriately," and it seems like he's not getting any support.
I don't feel like we're there for them in the same way. I mean, black people are there for them because we're there for our people.
I don't feel like the agent has been fired from WME.
It's not happened.
And the entertainment community as a whole isn't coming out with statements saying they support him. You know, he's
little sus. So sus. In addition to that, you might have also heard that your boy...
I just want to say, I want to give a lot of respect to Terry Crews for continuing to speak his truth and to fight for justice, and that this man be held accountable for his crimes. It's not an easy thing that he's doing, specifically as a black male in entertainment. He's basically putting his career in the crosshairs. And as of right now, it's not going well.
Yeah, no doubt. Exactly right.
So, it's really hard to keep for him, his livelihood.
It's hard to keep it real and also remain marketable. And in that vein, Dame Dash had to get at your boy Lee Daniels.
Oh, my God.
He had to get at him. Because...
Oh, my God, at the BET Awards.
He had to get at him, man, because... Your boy Dame, Lone Lee,
$2 million.
$2 million. Sorry, invested $2 million.
Correct.
In some films that Lee Daniels was making. But by Lee's own admission, he looked Mr. Dash in the face and was like, "You're going to get your money back. This is a short thing." He said,
"You're right. I'm wrong."
He said it. It's not a question.
You're right. And how long? Clearly Precious came out years ago. That might have been one of the films that was in at least partially financed by this investment.
Actually, it was two. It wasn't. It was The Woodsman and another one I can't remember, but it was two before the Precious.
But that was...
It was basically all the shit that led up to it. All the shit that led up to it.
You didn't even invite me to Precious, essentially the premiere, and Precious came out years ago. And the movie made some money.
Yeah.
And even the Woodsman had made some money.
Even if Precious didn't make any money, definitely Empire and Lee's subsequent ventures have made
Daniels
their money.
has made money. The company has made money. The production company has made enough money where he could at least begin to pay back this investment. plus interest. So Dame was like, you need to pay this money because we about to do a new lawsuit and we're about to take it public, which he did. And now he's suing him for what, $5 million?
Yeah, he's suing him for $5 million. Actually, he's been to court before.
Yeah.
And he's taking him again. And now at this point now, Lee is like, yo, I had a wake up call.
You'll get your money. You'll get your money.
Well, Lee is also going on record as saying he's going to pay Dame this money, and that he's like, you know, he feels like he owes it to him and this kind of stuff, even though it was technically an investment and not a loan. But like, those are some particularities and shit that don't really fucking matter. But what does
the contract say? If the contract says the investment, if the contract says there's going to be a return on my investment, then you got to fucking give him a return.
Well, no, it's deeper than that though. I mean, because the truth of the matter is, like, on the technicalities, Lee Daniels does have a leg to stand on. On a technicality, if you invest and your investment and the investment goes south, that's on you. You put your $2 million in there. The movies didn't make any money. South. No, but the 2 movies he invested in did not go nowhere. The two movies didn't go nowhere. But then, because of those 2 movies, it put Lee Daniels in a position to do this movie that finally did do something, and then his career went on in a different direction. And so what Lee Daniels is saying is that he's acknowledging the deeper truth. He's going like, all right, technically by the letter of the law, you could sue me for this money, right? But the agreement that we had does not entitle to you this money. But what does entitle you to this money is fucking moral soundness, just moral decency.
Dame taking it public. I mean, if motherfucker gonna confront you at the BET Awards.
Well, yeah, and also in the context of
as
Monique,
opposed to just sending.
But also in the context of Monique just got at him. Monique just got at him too. So it's Lee Daniels has gotten a. You know, there's a lot of suspect shit about Lee Daniels. It's like the whole thing with Star when he was like, "Oh, I wanted to cast a white girl because I wanted to show that, you know, race."
Yeah, Lee Daniels is very much an advocate for the idea that race has never held him back.
A couple of things, you know,
and that people are kind of making excuses. You got to play the game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so it's not like he didn't completely unmake the bed that he now has to lay in. So there's a lot of that shit, but if he does pay Dame this money back, I gotta say that is one of the blackest things ever, because it is technically not something that shit has been, you know, adjudicated in a court of law. It's something that he's recognized.
Not yet.
But if he fucks it up, I'm sure they'll go to court and they'll handle it. All right, moving on.
I think what's crazy about that too is, like, back in those days, Dame was one of the only few black, you know, people in entertainment that would have had the money.
That even had it.
So it's just like an ethical thing. It's like, come on now. When nobody had money to help you or even was thinking about helping you, this dude stepped up and gave you a couple millions. Exactly. So how are you gonna come back and not just something? Say, okay, we about to flip that and put it into this, and then you get some of that, or
just doing the right
put
thing.
Your name on the credits, or you get an executive producer credit, or something. Come to the premiere. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some return on the investment. Maybe you're not getting the exact amount of money back, yes, but nobody would give $2 million to not get anything back.
No. Yeah,
that's not an investment. Like, see what I'm saying? He didn't say it's a motherfucking $2 million gift.
But also, just in terms of blackness and tribe, you know what I'm saying? Some shit, like, just in terms of, like, being there for us. There is a certain decency that transcends the words on the paper of,
right. And at the end of the day, I mean, you don't want to. You don't want.
You don't want that karma, yo. You don't want that karma.
You don't want to alienate that opportunity because you don't ever know when you might need more money.
And also, Lee Daniels. Hollywood, let's face it, black artists only thrive to the extent that they are supported by their tribe. Black artists don't thrive that aren't supported by black people. That's just not the way this shit is set up, except for Hootie and the Blowfish. That's the only motherfucker that somehow found a loophole in that. But moving on a little bit, some good news. This could also go in black excellence. Is that the Oscars heard you, and the Academy made some big moves in order to broaden the diversity of the voting membership. So as a part of that, some good news.
Who we got?
Tiffany Haddish.
She ready.
Kendrick Lamar, Jada Pinkett Smith, Daniel Kaluuya. All of these people, in addition, Blake Lively, Dave Chappelle, Miles Teller, Daisy Ridley, Amelia Clark, Lena Headey, Lily James, Lily Collins, some other people I don't know, Olivia Munn.
Well, but this is a bunch of women.
Yeah,
it's
lots of women.
Black dudes and women.
Yes, diversity, y'all. That's what it looks like. That's what it sounds like. That's
Inclusion.
what it smells
And
like.
everyone that they picked is like they are part of the entertainment cultural zeitgeist. Like all of these people, these are some of the women from Game of Thrones. You know, Gina Rodriguez got her show, and she was in that movie Annihilation. There's a lot of people. It's not like they're nobodies. The people that are very much
they're
a part
worthy,
of
totally worthy.
The entertainment industry that are helping to create and shape the films and TV that we are watching right now, that we are being entertained, that is bringing in money.
That's right. And a big part of that has been because of Dawn Hudson, this totally righteous looking white lady, who is now the chief executive officer of the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences. And so she was a big part of this move towards inclusion, and I just want to say fucking hell yeah to that. So that's just a great thing. Also, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, what's up with her?
Nicki, first of all, guys, I like Nicki. I really love.
She at an immigration march. She's
doing great things. She's, first of all, let's start with the good thing.
Deportation.
The good thing is that she's giving money to people that are going to college. She's being a positive force in the community, guys.
Okay, go ahead, girl.
But in addition to that,
Onika, is that her name?
Onika, a girl, a woman, a lady, a young woman, made a comment on Twitter to the effect of, "I wish Nicki Minaj would make some mature music about her struggles as a boss, and just basically some mature stuff." And Nicki Minaj responded to this woman's DMs. It wasn't adding Nicki Minaj or anything like that. Nicki responded in her DMs and basically cursed her out. Let me see if I can
really
find the actual words.
Eat a dick, you hating ass hoe. Got the nerve to have a Trini flag on your page. You must not have heard the Pink Print or Pills in Motion, Bed of Lies, Save Me, my recent feature with Alicia Keys, Tasha Cobbs. Nicki responded, just say you jealous. I'm rich, famous, intelligent, pretty, and go. But wait, leave my balls. Tired of you sucking on them.
So,
okay.
Juana Thompson, who's a Toronto-based writer, posted the screenshots. She was actually an intern with Karen Civil, who is a woman I have met because I interviewed with her once for a beach job, which I did not get. So technically, fuck Karen Civil, but also fuck Karen Civil because they fired her for posting this because she breached the contract, breached their non-disclosure agreement, which really reveals a darker truth, which I don't even know if it's a darker truth or some shit you didn't know. But apparently, everybody is paying these fucking bloggers and YouTubers and Twitter people and shit to say nice shit about them.
Wait, who got fired?
So the writer, Juana Thompson, had an unpaid internship with Karen Civil, who is a famous media blogger and all this kind of shit, but she got fired because she broke their non-disclosure agreement because she was working for Karen Civil as a writer, apparently.
But did this tweet come from that account?
No, it just but it does explain why Nicki knew about her enough to even know why to even follow the account.
To be fair, there's no reason to think that Juana wouldn't then also post something that came into the DMs or some private exchange under the work profile. You know what I'm saying?
She wouldn't because she's getting paid by Nicki Minaj to say nice things because Karen Civil has obviously got some sort of contract and non-disclosure agreement for all her employment.
Karen does?
Yes, that's why she was fired. She was fired from her unpaid internship. Juana was fired by Karen Civil's organization because she went public with the way that Nicki ethered her. So it's clear that this type of shit must go on in other circumstances, and it's okay. It is what you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, Juana learned her lesson today.
God damn, you did. I mean, but...
Oh, that scared me. I thought that was the baby again.
But
Ooh,
I'm just saying, I think that's some bullshit, and it explains why journalism today, or what passes for music journalism today, and this Instagram culture and Twitter shit is all bullshit because everyone's on the fucking payroll. Two more things, and then we can get out of here. Jordan Peele hires a black queer executive to be the head of to be a cultural executive.
I like how she looks.
She looks amazing. I know. Clearly, and
she just looks very. I think a lot of us are responding to what
Camille
to identity
Oshundara.
that looks like it's very authentic and very real. So
recent UCLA graduate Camille Oshundara, awesome, always with the Oshun power, has been hired as the cultural executive at Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw Productions. A portion of her job will include diving deep into genre material to create content that better represents marginalized groups and cultures.
Wow, she just graduated in 2018.
That is amazing.
With a joint degree in African American Studies and World Arts and Cultures. I mean, she just got.
I don't even know her, and I love her so much.
Like her master's?
I am just so proud of her.
Did she just come out with a BA and land a job here? That's amazing. Okay, Camille. Well, I'm ready for you.
Philly born.
I'm ready for you, girl.
Philly born.
Bring it. Although, I mean, I'm here for Monkey Paw.
That's amazing.
I'm really here for Monkey Paw. They got that new film coming out. They got Lupita Nyong'o signed up. Winston Duke signed up for it.
They got it. Let me give her some more props.
Yes.
Oshundara is an author, artist, and queer community organizer. Throughout her time in Los Angeles, she curated inclusive, arts-based events. The cultural activist is already tasked with overseeing Wendell and Wild, the stop-motion animation Monkey Paw is producing for Netflix. So she just graduated, but she's also one of those old souls who's been doing a damn thing.
Yeah, she's doing her thing.
And doing it.
I'm here for Monkey Paw. Let's do it. I love that they also hired Matthew Cherry, who directed The Last Fall, and he's one of the great memeists. Is that a thing?
Well,
he's my favorite GIF creator, meme creator on Twitter.
Well, just one last thing, and this is one last bit of more good news. The guy that kicked off the whole Me Too movement, your favorite horrible person in mind, Harvey Weinstein, just got some new sex assault charges in Manhattan, which now threaten him with a maximum sentence of life in prison. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. And I just want to say, guys, if you burn your sage and pray and recognize the corners and pray to the four winds, good karma can come to everyone. I
just want to clarify, because Tarana Burke, the founder of the Me Too organization and the movement, has kind of spoken on this.
Respect.
So I do want to clarify that the Me Too movement was never about or centered in criminal charges against the accuser. The Me Too movement is about acknowledging the victims and offering the victims of sexual assault the support that they need to then rebuild their lives.
Right on.
So for as much as we are glad that these aggressors and these criminals are being charged and hopefully convicted for their crimes, I want to be one of those people that kind of reminds that the Me Too movement is not just about putting these men or women in jail. It is truly about the women and who have survived sexual assault. And that really the foundation of the organization was about supporting the victims of sexual assault, not just putting people in jail. So not that we shouldn't celebrate that Harvey Weinstein is getting what the fuck has been coming to him for decades now, but truly in essence that is not the Me Too movement.
Amen to that. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Thank you for setting the record on that shit.
Hey, I learned myself.
That's real. That's
following
real.
Tarana Burke.
That's real.
She speaks on it.
No, that's real. That's real. Okay, it's late as fuck. I'm tired.
Oh my god, I work tomorrow.
It is 12:22 in the a.m.
Yo, we
on a
out.
Tuesday.
We gotta
go.
Get out of
No
here.
shout outs, no nothing. I don't know if anybody commented
We
or left a
are
review.
on Facebook.
I'm
We have a
tired.
Wake with Kids page. Follow it. We post things. We are on Instagram at Wake with Kids. Sometimes we post things there. Leave a comment. Listen to us on iTunes and SoundCloud and Stitcher and Spotify and Google Play, whatever the fuck.
YouTube.
Like us,
Yes.
heart us, share us, all the things that you normally do. Please continue to do so. And
And thank you.
thank you.
Talk
Thank you
to
for
you.
listening and watching. Have a good week.
Yeah, man.
Stay woke.
Stay woke, y'all. Peace.
Peace.